good evening. If it's Sunday, it's Free Talk with Mr. B. Sameena, welcome, welcome, welcome. Professor Mia, welcome. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Thank you so much. Hi, Sister
Doing
Mia. How
well,
are you?
thank you very much. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. So, yes, as usual, wherever we are and whatever we're doing, we're just going to get on to our podcast and do a little chit chat on our nuggets. So, this week we decided to pick up nugget number 18 in Mr. B's The Art of Giving Back, which says helping with things. The topic may be a little off for people listening to it, but then in a minute we would know what it is and why Mr. B had to include this particular nugget in his book and what was it that he was trying to reveal in there. So, Mr. B, why don't you go first and tell us about this?
Oh, thank you. Yes, and we also look forward to Dedra Stevenson coming on too, because she will be running just a little late. It's so nice to have everyone on. I sometimes get reluctant to talk about things that I've experienced, especially if it was embarrassing. And so some things I think I was a very naive young man. And the story goes as far back as my desire to give back. And before writing the book, The Art of Giving Back, I wanted to know, when did I start giving back and why? And to think about it, it really, I was very much a youth. I think 1980, 18, 19 years old, something around then. I was quite young, and so many things I did not know compared to what I know now. So it's kind of hilarious when I look back at it. And while writing the book, we found the word piles, and I didn't know what piles was. I didn't know that name existed. And back in the day, someone says they were discussing the situation of hemorrhoids. And I did not even know what that was back then. And I offered to assist someone. And I was thinking, when I look back at it, how embarrassing it was. And not offer to assist in a negative way, but when someone told me what they were suffering from, I asked, well, how can I help? Is there anything I can do to help? Not knowing what it was at all. And so to have such a personal problem, a sensitive problem, and wanting to help without knowing, I think it's a good thing, but it's still, it's worth, again, nowadays we can search engine anything. It's good to know what someone is going through, sometimes even before offering to assist them or before trying to help or before trying to give back, because every giving back thought and every giving back motion should be with honesty, genuinity, and for purpose, and not to create embarrassment for them nor yourself. And so that was what was going on back then.
Okay, all right. Sure, yes. Sister Mia, I'm sure you come across a lot of people who you don't know, who you're helping on your day-to-day activities. So tell us about any instances or situations where you have tried to help and it was an embarrassing moment probably for you or the other person, and how did you actually manage that?
Well, yes, I think I've come across that many a time, and I promise you, if there's one thing that's very difficult to do, is to try and hide back the embarrassment or the oh my gosh moment. But the thing is, it's all part of the growing. It's all part of getting to know yourself better, actually, as you get through those embarrassing times. Most of it's with children, I must say. When I have kids in front of me, they just tend to ask them the weirdest questions, and then you wonder. I, for example, had a child one day, and I'm thinking to myself, in the course of this therapy session, I wonder if this child has had the bees and the birds discussion with the parent yet. Am I supposed to do it with her or not? Because the parents are not sitting there at the time, and she just, she just randomly goes on about certain things about life that even adults haven't had discussions with me about. But the thing is that when somebody, we have this tendency, like Mr. B has said, it's just innate within most of us to have to say to somebody, well, how can I help you? Is everything okay? And sometimes it's actually strangers. I mean, even if we're in a mall. And I know Mr. B has always had this reference of opening a door for people with a smile. Sometimes, we don't even ask. We just do things for people, or we just assume somebody may need something. And we just say, "Well, how can I help you?" And they look at you like dumbstruck. As though to say, like, you can't help me, like, there, can you help me?
Right.
I think one of the biggest things for us to do is just ask. It's, what's wrong? And that what's wrong, many people don't even answer you honestly enough until you get to specific level of where they can think, okay, maybe I can actually answer you properly. But yeah, these things tend to happen quite often. I just today, had an encounter with a little girl again, and she was about, I think she's about 7 or 8, and she's like, and she calls me Auntie M. So Auntie M, tell me, um, were you born wearing this thing on your head? And I was like, no. Then how do you get to wear that, and how do you go to a bathroom with it on? And for them, it's like all these picturesque questions. But the point is, if you have to think about it, some of their questions are actually showing their creativity, showing their mindset, showing their growth. Um, but yeah, when we get asked these very embarrassing things, we just have to grow with it and go with it and just go with the flow and get more into what goes on with the minds of people, because that's what it's all about.
Yes, and let me just reverse the roles here. I'm sure we all come across, instances where we are looked down upon, or we have actually failed to understand the capacity of the person who could actually help us. We ourselves could have done that, or someone has done that to us. Maybe when you probably just try to help, or maybe the other person was trying to help you, you just feel that you are going to help me. Do you think you you should be able to do that, or those kind of situations?
Yeah,
So what do you have to
I
say, Mr. B? Yes, sister, you go first.
no, it's fine. I actually did have that happen, and mind you, I felt my embarrassing moment just after that moment was, Mehreen, how could you have judged? And because that's basically what it was about. It was about like me actually doing so. When this person had said to me, Mehreen, how can we help you? I immediately had that in my mind. I didn't say it, of course. In my mind, I thought to myself, how are you possibly going to be able to help me? And my
Mm-hmm.
immediate next thing to myself was, Mehreen, how are you judging this person? You're not supposed to do that. You don't know whether they can or can't. At least give it a chance. And mind you, all the person could offer me was time and to listen. And that alone made the biggest of differences for me. And I didn't realize at that moment it was just the time and me verbalizing what I was going through that would have made the difference. I had made this issue so exorbitant that I thought action was purely required and ABC had to be done in my own way, not realizing that just being able to talk to this person would make such a big difference. So yes, I did encounter that where I myself put my foot in it, so to speak. And I just had to learn from that. I don't judge anybody. And if somebody is saying to you, can I help you? And if they're doing it holistically and from the heart, they will be able to help because they got sent in their own way.
And as you said, Sameena, turning the tables around, the adult at that time who had issues with hemorrhoids and was in pain or something, and I asked if they were very kind to me, realizing I had no idea what I was asking and no idea what I was talking about. And so it was very generous of that lady to tell me, oh no, dear, I'm gonna be okay. I'll deal with this one on my own. And of course, it took years later for me to realize what that was. And even during the writing of the book, I had to look for a word that describes it kind of disguisingly or more professionally in order to carry my embarrassment through this book. But I wanted to speak about it because it's a form of giving back when we say, how can I help you? And the humility of a child, for example, coming up to an adult, or even taking an adult capacity, offering help, sometimes us adults need to exercise humility in how we respond, how we take it, that we don't scold the other person because they mean well, or in some cases, a male to a female, or someone covered to someone who's not covered. There are just so many differences or opportunity of differences where someone is offering to help us, and we should humbly either accept or decline and not make the person feel so bad, because the whole notion of giving back was their effort to help. You don't have to accept it, but that was the most miraculous piece of it. The person took action to help where others might not.
Absolutely. And that brings me to the thought that, every person is going to get to a stage in their lives, including us, where we may be embarrassed to even ask for help. Where I'm talking about the old age, the geriatric care, which actually is, it's still, there's a lot the world needs to understand about helping an old person. Because being independent for a very, very long time, and suddenly somebody just falls on bed with a stroke or a paralysis or anything like that. So after that, the person is not going to ask you for help because they themselves are going through so much in their minds that they're embarrassed to even ask for help. They're thinking that how come I, who was independent and everything, for that matter, my own dad, who I lost, and I saw him for 3 years, and then um, many instances I had to give him the comfort. I had to make him feel that it's okay, dad, for you to tell me that you're not able to do certain things, and I will help you with that. So every child and every friend and every human being ought to understand that it's okay, and we are all going to be at that stage some point. Nobody is going to escape that stage, and it's absolutely fine for us to acknowledge, and even before the person asks, to be mindful to go ahead and lend that helping hand, not feeling that what will this person think of me, because that's not important there. What is more important is this understanding the situation of that person who was so unexpectedly caught in this dependable mode,
Right.
I think. Yes.
And it's true that on both sides of the giving back spectrum, we need humility. On both sides of the giving and receiving, everyone should cooperate in a way that exercises humility. And I mean, we spent many weeks talking about it from the humility perspective, and we want to maintain each other's dignity. It's called human. Being human is being dignified. And so as we keep getting deeper and deeper into the weeks of talking about the art of giving back, we're really talking about human dignity. and
Yes.
it's lovely. It's very, very nice. I didn't know, in fact, someone recently, kind of off topic, told me that they had an anger problem, and someone offered them my book to read, and they calmed down and remembered humility, seeing, and reading about it. And then when it flared up again, they read the book again. I was like, really? I didn't know I wrote a book that would help with that. But the art of giving back has many aspects of it that helps people in all of their different ways. Having the conversation about it can help anyone in any way that they prefer, because again, it's
Mhm.
part of humanity. And now I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel ashamed, but I'd also keep in mind to be careful as to what I offer to help with, regardless.
Absolutely. And I think every nugget, like you mentioned, and all these podcasts and even the book can definitely be a healing endeavor for so many people who are listening to us or even reading the book. It's a load of blessings for you, I must say. And in saying that, yes, it definitely helps because it got us all of us and people who are listening to us thinking about these things, which otherwise maybe we didn't even think of. We were so busy in our own lives that we couldn't have even talked about giving back, and what is humility, and what is giving without an intent, or giving, how can a child give back, and all these aspects. You've just gone so much deeper into a person's simple things about life, And that's really helped us introspect and see our own, show us ourselves the mirror, literally.
Right.
And yes, of course, and the topic we're discussing, where we're saying that, we ought to help the person irrespective of the embarrassment or whatever it is. It just shows, the character of the person who is trying to help. And it can also connect you, I feel, to the people around you, because they see how you're behaving with an individual who was embarrassed to even ask for help.
Right. Mr. Mia?
Yeah.
Yes, I have to agree. I have to just say sorry for the noise on the background. But they are busy packing up the event that I was at. But I just have to agree with the one point, and that is that firstly, when we're doing something, when you just ask can I help you? It's not just about you trying to help somebody else. Some people actually don't expect anyone to care enough to ask that question. And
Sure.
you might not know the impact that you asking, how can I help, makes to somebody's life. Very often people actually just have to get by. They just have to, go with the flow with whatever they're feeling, whatever they're enduring, and they feel alone in the process. And your mere question sometimes of, are you okay? How can I help? Total stranger just coming out of the blue, actually genuinely caring, makes that big difference to that somebody and gives them that little bit of hope. And that's what this whole thing is about. That's what Mr. B is about. That's what the art of giving back is about. You're giving back without even actually realizing. And then, of course, the universe gives back to you tenfold.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. So I think we've talked about the nugget, and then we look forward to do a lot more discussion, and we hope that people take back from these nuggets, and the next time you're trying to help someone, or you have this feeling, oh, there comes our friend. Hi, Miss Dedra.
Hi, so sorry for being so inexcusably late. I'm very sorry.
Hello,
Had
Sister
kind of
Dedra. Assalamu
a
alaikum. Lovely to
situation.
see you.
So nice
No.
to see you again, Professor Mia, Mr. B.
Thank you. It's good to be
Yes.
on. Yeah, we will spend a few minutes talking about this particular nugget, and it was really a nice recap of why we're talking about the art of giving back in the first place, because there are just so many times that we may ask someone, how can you help? And Dedra, at the moment we were talking about piles, and I didn't know when I was a kid what piles was, and it was hemorrhoids, and I didn't know what hemorrhoids were when I was 18. And so asking someone, how can I help, is almost as equivalent as, some people might have cramps monthly. And if you see someone keel over, bent over with cramps from their monthly periods, you might want to know, how can I help you? And so it's kind of private and it's kind of personal, and you just don't overly try to help people with it. But of course, if I can go and get some Midol, I will try to help, and that's a
Right.
way we can help. But it's usually a little embarrassing to ask someone if you can help them with some personal things. But the art of giving back says, we're inclined to ask, and the other person may not make us feel embarrassed, or they may not make us feel belittled or anything like that, but they may humbly or quietly say, oh no, thanks dear, I got this one. Right. So it was nice to go over
Right.
the humility part of all of the giving back and still give back.
Well, I think that's really a good topic to touch on, that sometimes people may be a little embarrassed, to admit that they need help even. I mean, even in my husband's circles, my husband's a psychologist, for those who still don't know. So I'm around this kind of thing a lot, that, there's a little bit of, there's a bit of a rule, even when he's seeing a client, they have to sort of open up on their own. You can't really force the issue. You can be there and sort of serve as a vessel, and sort of let them, and you have to sort of prompt them, gently prompt, and that's it.
Right.
That's even what therapy is all about, and I think even in life in general, that's most of what we do. We're just sort of to let people know that we're there. I'm here, in case you need anything, I'm here.
Right. And we also
Even if you
mentioned,
just need a hug.
right. And we even mentioned before you came on that sometimes, like you are three covered ladies, and there's certain things men are not supposed to do. I learned it the hard way, but when somebody's trying to help you, they may become human. They may not think about all of these aspects of what's supposed to do or not supposed to do. And it's beholden on the other person to not belittle their wisdom, their intelligence, or their offer to help, because the art of giving back says it's genuinely human and humane to want to help someone. And it would be really nice if the receiving party can let them know, oh no, dear, it's okay, we'll handle this one, or I'll seek some help elsewhere. But the person was only trying to be human by offering help. And that's an art of giving back. And in my case, I was saying it would have been good if I knew what I was asking. And I would have corrected it. So now, many, many years later, the article I wasn't shy to not write it. I wrote it in the book on purpose to bring it to mind that all of these are arts and styles of giving back, regardless if you're embarrassed.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, cultural aspects do come into play as well. And I can see how that would be problematic. Like, for example, if we have a male friend and, they notice that we're a little down and he tries to give us a big hug, I mean, with a covered lady, that is an issue.
Right?
Right.
I learned that.
But it is important for us to realize that maybe he just didn't know any better. He meant well, he just didn't understand what the rules are. It is important to keep that in mind also, that people mean well.
And that was me in Dubai. I got scolded when I didn't know any better.
Oh, well, that's not nice. No.
Okay.
A little more understanding should have been practiced.
I was just being my nice self.
Of course. Yes. Anybody who knows you knows that that's true. We could have told them, couldn't we, Sameena?
Yeah. Yes. If I know the person too well, it's okay. We kind of reciprocate the respect for each other, so that's okay with me. So.
It was definitely nice meeting up with everyone again. And I think, Sameena, we're using up our time. And there's another program coming in 5 minutes. So we look forward to these programs. I think the download here is slow. And so we'll make sure we upload everything by Tuesday for latest. And thank everyone for their patience with it all. And I'll be back in the US. I'm leaving tomorrow, heading back. So I should get by midnight, Monday night, I should be home, something like that.
Awesome.
All right. That's
safe travels, Mr. B, and it's lovely seeing everyone.
Safe travels.
Thank you so much. We'll meet up again.
Don't forget to tune into my podcast next. You, Me, and Iced Tea coming up right after this.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. Talk to y'all later.
Guys, all the best.
Bye.
Okay.